So welcome everyone. Thank you for attending this event, this evening of the talks of Cabril. Today we have a really special person here with us. She has come here with from Kiev. She's made a long journey today. We really appreciate that you are here today with us. Tetiana, she's Tetiana Verbytska. She's in charge of the public relations of the technical support of nuclear security in Ukraine. And she studied electrical engineer. She worked as well as a public worker. We all know about the situation today in Ukraine, the war, and that the situation as well as in Zaporizhia. We all have a listen about that. We are really looking forward to hearing what you have to say to us about nuclear security and how to manage this issue today, because it has become a really important matter for us today in this world. So it's all your time today, and thank you very much again for coming.
Thank you, Laura, for a nice introduction, and I'm going to share with you today some impression and some insights from the life in Ukraine during nowadays. And when I'm asked to share some stories, every time I think that I'm not proper person for that, because I didn't live, I haven't lived under occupation. I wasn't tortured, fortunately. I'm an ordinary Ukrainian, like millions of us. Ordinary people stayed against and in front of a huge country willing to protect the motherland. There is no heroes or supermans among us. We are all just a simple people willing to have our own independent country. So my name is Tetiana Verbytska again, and I'm in charge of informational policy in the State Scientific and Technical Center for Nuclear and Radiation Safety, and I've been doing this job for 7 years already. I settled up in a small town which called is Irpin city. It is in 12 kilometers from Kiev. Probably you had a chance to see some pictures from Irpin with the broken bridge and people hiding above the bridge. This is a city where I moved to 20 days before Russians entered to Irpin. Irpin is a very cozy small town, as I said, with a lot of pipe trees and oaks, and we have a lot of forests around the city. Almost 1 year ago, on the very early morning, on the February 24, I slept in my bed in my new house, like many others of us were doing. But insidiously, Russian launches missiles attack and also air bombs at the Ukrainian cities and villages, where thousands of children, women and retired people were sleeping peacefully in their houses as I did. They all were forced to leave their properties in search for a safer place. To the greatest regret, many of them never found this safe place, stayed on the streets forever. Have you ever been thinking what would you take with you if you need to leave your house forever? I took a few pieces of clothes to wear, few photographs of my son growing up, the lock of hair from his first haircut, and some traditional shawl belongs to my grandmother. That was all what I could take with me on the February 25th. On that day, I had to leave Irpin as it was under occupation from that day ahead until March 28, when our Ukrainian army liberated the city. From that day ahead, the whole world can watch and can see what an evil things doing Russian on our territory. The Bucha massacre has been shown up to the entire world on April 2, and we had a lot of such cities and villages liberated after the April. From that time, me and my team and all of us in SSTC were doing our job. We all spread over in different locations, looking for a safer place, as I mentioned. But we could save our organization, which was not easy, the easiest task. We also were keeping doing our job, providing a lot of interviews for international media, launching a charity auction to collect money to buy armed equipment and other stuff for our armed forces, for the separate brigades, as they requested a lot of things. So we are not only working but also volunteering a lot. The message on the March 22, I was in Rivne region, which is a little bit western part of Ukraine, in the city, satellite city of Rivne nuclear power plant, making some job, my ordinary task, if we can say ordinary task during wartime. And I got a message that my friend Denise was died in the region of next to Irpin city. He was a soldier, and he was also very good in art. So he, before the war, he made a wall in my new house. So now I have a wall, but I don't have a friend. But there was not correct time for the tears. I had work, and we all have. We just need to do this. This is not time to stop. No, we will cry after the victory. Despite the fact Russia is a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council and the co-founder of the IAEA, it commits acts of nuclear terrorism before the eye of the entire world. Says nuclear facilities and of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and Chernobyl nuclear power plant, and continuous shelling Zaporizhzhia NPP and nuclear subcritical facilities which locates in Kharkiv city with 1 million of inhabitants. Since the beginning of Zaporizhzhia NPP occupation, the Europe's largest nuclear power plants and its satellite city, which is Energodar, has been periodically fired by the Russian troops. But of course they are saying it is Ukrainian army who is doing that things. For the first time, the world community has faced a situation where nuclear power plants are the objects of a full-scale war for purpose of nuclear terrorism and blackmailing. And blackmailing In addition, the participant of this blackmailing is not only Russian troops, but also representatives of Rosatom, who came into the site of Ukrainian nuclear power plants along with the occupational forces. Moreover, Russian kidnapped Ukrainian children from orphanages in the occupied territory. The further fate of Ukrainian children remains unknown. The war has brought suffering for 1 million of civilians, for the million of Ukrainian families. Tens of thousands of us were killed, and tens of thousands had to go to immigration. We have more than 10 million Ukrainians in immigration. With each occupied territory, the horror of the presence of the Russian troops in our lands has been revealed. Tortures, chambers, mass grave, etc. So, my grandmother used to say, if there was no war. And now I can really understand those words very deeply. And when I'm asked why didn't I leave Ukraine? Why did I choose to stay inside of the country? I may tell that if everyone leave, who would fight for the truth? As Russians can kill a messenger, but they will not kill a message. And if they kill a person, 100 behind will stay against that person. And we will fight, and the truth will live forever. One day we will win the war, but we will never forget what Russian has done to Ukraine and to Ukrainian people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tetiana. So I would like to ask you about El Cabril. This morning you've been visiting El Cabril. After this question we will talk about other things, but I would like to know your opinion about how Spain is managing nuclear waste, especially Córdoba in that case. And what would you highlight about your visit?
Well, thank you for the possibility to visit El Cabril site, as it locates in a really amazing location, surrounded by a lot of oak trees and a lot of wild animals, which we also had possibility to meet. And I found the facility very beautiful as well, by itself. As you doing a very good job in terms of safety, and I could visit everything. I visited informational center, which is very new and very beautiful one. I liked it very much. And also I visited very low and intermediate red waste storages. I was shown how you prepare containers and casks, and how everything have been transferred and collected at the site. And also the Spanish view to the future in terms of red waste is really amazing, as you are going to make it very close to the nature. So I like it very much. I think this is really a good way of treatment and safe one as well, what is the most important, of course, safety on the first place.
Yes, of course. So the entire world has been keeping breath a little bit sometimes when we were listening and watching about Zaporizhia, because we really thought that, Putin was pointing out to that nuclear plant, which is the biggest one of Europe. How have you and your team been working on something like that? On the real threat that you could have another disaster of that kind in the Ukraine?
The war brought additional challenges for us, of course, because a lot of people require additional information about, for instance, iodine treatment. As from August to September, I think, Putin and his propaganda spread information about nuclear war, using nuclear weapon. They continue shelling Zaporizhia site, so it remains us for nuclear threats, not only for Ukraine as itself, but also to the world and to the closest country. Mm-hmm. So we developed additional pieces of, let's say, informational materials about iodine treatment to people and also for personnel, as people were scared a lot of that. Also, I don't know if I may say, but I will try to. We got a request from some military brigades to prepare information about how would they deal and how would they protect themselves during liberation of the nuclear power plant. Because for citizens, we can hidden themselves in shelters, but soldiers must go on. So we prepare that piece of material as well. And also we are dealing with some volunteering stuff. As I already mentioned, we collect some, raise some funds to help some people from organizations who are on the front line to buy something they require, or to some other friends, or even not friends, just we get some requests and we are trying to help them.
Did you, as you said, it was a threat not just for your country, but for Russia as well, and for Europe and the world. I don't know if you felt like you received enough help from Europe, for example, and if you felt that the threat was real, that you could have this disaster because of war.
Yeah, we are very thankful to the Europe and to the Britain, to United States for support and help you providing to us, especially in terms of military, of course. Also, if you speak about our organization and the nuclear regulatory body, we also receive a lot of help. Mm-hmm. Like some additional projects to finance expertising for medical hospitals, not only for military but for ordinary one as well. We receive some equipment to help us measure radioactivity around NPPs, mm-hmm. to check meteorological surrounding as well. So, like, yes, we have a lot of support, and we are very thankful to all our partners and all partner countries, mm-hmm. for this.
How is the situation right now? I mean, how is nowadays, like currently? Because we've been reading a lot, but I don't know if you feel that in some kind that the world is forgetting about the war, that it is vanishing with the time, that you are not in the spotlight anymore, and if you fear that eventually it is going to be out of news or something like that, because it's what is normally happening with a lot of wars. So how do you feel today about that, and how is the situation right now, and especially with the nuclear threat?
The war is going on. You know, we live inside of the war, and war lives in us, I can say, because we speak mainly about war only. And the situation on the east part is very difficult. In Bakhmut region, for instance, I lost another friend in that region in January, and we lost our colleague. He was head of one of the departments in nuclear regulatory body. he was killed in Zaporizhia Oblast region. And of course it is difficult. And it is difficult in terms of NPP as well, because Zaporizhia is still under occupation. And I think that the EAA and other international organizations should do their best to help us to liberate it, not just to create the nuclear radiation safety area around, as it was mentioned in some of the report of EAA. So I think they should do more in that term, of course, because we are speaking not about only our safety of our people in our country, but also the safety, it remains safety issues to the others too. Yeah, I wanted just to say that you asked about situation. We had missiles during night again and during daytime again, so we need to keep working and also not getting mad with that missiles attack, but we are doing our best, as you can see.
Yeah.
So
the last one now, I want to know about your main task in your daily routine. What are you in charge of every day?
I'm responsible for informational policy in general, but but we have website, we have Facebook page, we have a lot of communication to population. We have additional requests for military. This is also our responsibility. We also maintain some internal communication with personnel. We organize some events. Of course, this is much less amount of that events because we have very difficult time and lack of budget to a lot of them. But still, we have some. We teach journalists about our topics. We provide some information for students. We launch international schools even this year. Yes, we organized international school for the students of 3 Polytechnical University of Ukraine with the support of Argonne National Laboratory. So
a lot,
a lot.
Quite a lot. So Tetiana, thank you very much for coming, and I hope that we can be talking about the end of war soon.
Thank you. I hope to. Thank you so much.